Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is part 10 of Stuck Together. Enjoy. It was hard to keep your cool under these circumstances, but you did your best. Hawks was picking up on your internal panic and had glanced at you a few times to make sure that the guilt wasn't showing on your face, but you looked relatively unfazed on the surface, and he grinned to himself. She really is a professional. If only everyone could see the difference of her internal reaction and her outward reaction to this situation, I'm sure they'd all be impressed. He closed his eyes for a second to savour the moment. The boss talked a little more sternly about the repercussions of dating a co-worker, and Hawks could tell that you were doing your best to keep yourself under control. He was rooting for you to keep your cool until the meeting was over, which you did. When you left separately to him to make sure that no one could pin you two together, and just as you were leaving the building you gave Hawks a glance, and he nodded. Then you both left in different directions, but you knew that you would both meet back at your place after doing a proper scan of the area to make sure that you weren't being followed. You were both relatively on high alert now. After going to the shops and buying some things for dinner, you took the long way home, ducking in and out of places to check and see if there was anyone outside who seemed to be following you to different stores. You weren't looking for a familiar face, because you knew that if your boss or suspicious co-workers were smart, then they would hire someone that you didn't know to tail you. But all seemed fine. Flying to the roof of your building, you let yourself in, then walked down to your apartment, still keeping your wits about you. About 1 hour later you got a call from Hawks from a private number, and he told you that he would be there in just a few minutes. The rendezvous went as planned, and Hawks stated that no one had followed him to your new place either. "Oh, so you were looking out for someone who was following you too?" you asked with a chuckle after he had admitted to taking his time to make sure he wasn't being traced. "Well, yeah, it's getting pretty serious now, but I'm not worried. I already told you that I was going to start my own agency, but because you don't want to get found out, I'm taking precautions for the sake of your sanity." You smiled and gave him a soft look. "Thanks." You reached out and took his hand in yours, and then headed for the kitchen. "I know this is not the right time, but I feel like we can move to first name basis," he commented. "I mean, you've never moaned my name, but I'd like to hear it." You up and roundhouse kicked him in the ass. "Seriously?" you asked, placing your hands on your hips as he stumbled forwards. "You have the worst timing ever, Hawks." He laughed and turned to face you with that cheeky grin of his. "So, how about it?" he asked, still wanting an answer. "Well, I mean, I can when we're alone," you mused, "but I can't call you by your first name at the office since people definitely know that we're seeing each other. That and the fact that my name is classified and no one knows what it is," he added with a grin. "But I want you to know my name." "Well, I feel honoured," you said, letting your arms go slack by your side. "So, what is your name?" "It's Keigo," he said. "That's all you need to know for now." "I like it," you replied bashfully. A warmth permeated the room, and you took a step towards him for a hug, which started to turn into something more, but then there was a knock on the door. "Who could that be? I'm not expecting anyone," you whispered to him. Hawks stiffened and his feathers vibrated and picked up the minutest details of who was on the other side of the door. "I don't know who it is, but they could be checking up on you," he said softly. "Go and check the door, but keep your wits about you, and I'll go and hide in your room near the window so I can make a quick escape if need be," he said. You nodded and parted ways, noting that one of Hawks's feathers had been deployed to hide behind the vase near the front door so that he could listen in on the conversation. You waited at the door and looked through the peephole. It definitely wasn't anyone that you knew standing on the other side. "Yes, what do you want?" you asked the person on the other side of the door as you kept the door closed. I'm here on a maintenance check," the guy said. "I need to get to your electrical box." "The electricals are all down in the basement," you replied, suspicion rising in your voice. This guy was already on your sus list. This was strike number 1. I'm new to this, sorry," he said. "Have you been in this building for long?" "No." You looked at the boxes nearby that still needed unpacking. He was stalling now, and you looked to see him standing there at your door. "How many people are in the building?" he then asked. Why is he asking these questions? I feel like he's making idle conversation as a distraction. You stepped back and looked around the door. Is he infiltrating? As you looked, you saw the slightest glint of a thread that was coming in from his side of the door and slowly sliding in through the hinges. He's either villain or he's trying to gather intel to see if Hawks is in my house, you thought. Now you had two options, which you had to weigh up within a moment's notice. Do I call him out on it and open the door and capture him? But if I do that, then Hawks might come and help. And if this guy is a private investigator of some type, then we'll be busted. But on the other hand, if I let him slide the thread in and it somehow gets to Hawks in my room, then he'll be able to tell it's Hawks that's there and we'll be busted anyway. It was a split-second decision, but you quickly grabbed for Hawks's feather, whispering for him to run, and then threw the feather down the hall, which it immediately took flight back to Hawks, and then you threw the door open and jumped the guy. It only took you 2 seconds to apprehend him. It was obvious that he had messed with the wrong person, even to him, so he very quickly gave up. "Who are you?" you demanded, pushing your knee into his throat, wings spread out menacingly as you pinned him to the ground. Sorry, he choked out. "I didn't ask for an apology, I asked who you are," you said again in your best hero voice. "My name is Onara. I'm a private investigator, sent by your boss," he choked out again, coughing through his piece. "Why?" you demanded. "I don't know the details." "That's complete bull," you interrupted. "If you're a private investigator, you'll know all the details so that you can do your job." "You're good," he coughed out, giving you a smile, which you didn't buy any of. "Save your compliments. Now tell me what you know before I render you unconscious and hand you over to the police with violations of stalking and harassment." You would do it, and he knew it. "Your boss has suspicions that you and your co-worker, Hero Hawks, are dating in secret, and she wants concrete evidence so that she can dismiss you both," he admitted. "Wait, but my boss is male," you thought, not wanting to tell him that because you felt like there was something up here and he could help you, seeing as you could tell that he was telling the truth so far. "How long have you been tailing me? When did your boss give you orders?" you demanded, putting more pressure on his neck. "Last week," he coughed. You hummed. "I need to get the name of the supposed female boss that ordered him to do this." Is everything okay out here?" a timid voice asked, and you looked up into the eyes of the 10-year-old girl who lived across the hall from you. "Yes, Kita, everything's fine," he replied with a smile. Well, to her it certainly didn't look fine. You were kneeling on the head and neck of some random guy, looking very fierce indeed with your wings out. Ooh, a mystery. We'll find out a little more in the next chapter. See you then.